Hi there, this is part 2 of the instructions for assignment 4B. First, I wanted to show you where to find this. So you can see we're on section 4, lesson 6, open a file. I'll show you in the table of contents where to go. Scroll down, 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 down. Finish mixing samples, introduction, open a file. So you would click right there. And that is where our directions start. So you want to come up to File. Well, first, sorry, I opened Audacity, then Open. And it's already on my section 4. As you can see, there's my sample mix from the first video. There we go. So this time we are going to change the amplitude of one track at a time. Remember, amplitude is like how loud the sound wave or the track sounds. So you can go through and listen to each of these individually again, or you may just remember which ones you'd like to change. And so let's say I think this one here on track 4 is too quiet and I want to be able to hear it a little bit louder. But only this track. This right here is the gain slider. Gain means making one track at a time louder or quieter. So let's go ahead. I'm going to play the whole thing. Actually, here, I'm going to go back. Sorry. I'm going to play from the beginning. Click on solo, and then I can increase or decrease the amplitude here. Now, another thing that I can do, and put it back, is double click on it, and as you can see, the decibels go up in smaller increments by decimal points. Decimal. So you can more fine tune it. Okay, and I like the way it sounds there. Let me unclick the solo and listen to them all together with my new amplitude on track 4. And now I can hear track 4 a little more clearly. Now, you guys can do this for any track that you would like to change. You do not have to do it the way that I just did it. The next part of the directions you will have to do with a stereo track, which if you remember from the part 1 video, means there are 2 sound waves in one track. So this we're going to use the pan function, P-A-N, and that means to move the sound waves so they're coming either out of the left or the right speaker. So I'm going to play all the tracks, solo track 1 because it's stereo, and then I'm going to play with the pan the tracks function. Now I know that you can't hear that very well through the video, and I apologize for that. There's not much I can do with that. But I can hear, and you'll be able to hear, that it moves the sound coming from in the middle. It's very balanced. On the right, it comes from the right side of the speaker, and on the left, it comes from the left side of the speaker. So you can kind of choose which one you like the best. Again, if you double click it, it changes in much smaller increments. Okay, so I'm going to say that I like it right there. And now you've used the gain and the pan function. The next thing that we are going to do is something called split stereo to mono. Okay, so that seems pretty self-explanatory. We're going to, because I was just playing with track 1, I'm going to now choose track 2. I'm going to click on the track drop-down list right here, and then say split stereo to mono. Okay, as you can see, there's now a track 2 here and a track 2 here, but they are completely different tracks. The next thing we are going to do is actually the opposite of what we just did. We're going to take 2 mono tracks and turn them into a stereo track. So I prefer that you choose different mono tracks than the ones that we just split. So when I'm grading you, I will be able to tell that you have done both turning stereo into mono and mono into stereo. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do track 5 and 6. What you want to do is click on this, and you can see it's selected. Then I'm holding the shift key down. That added it to my selection. Up here, I'm going to do this, and then click on Make Stereo Track, and you can see that it has combined those 2 sound waves into one stereo track. So there's no longer a track 5, because I took track 6 and added it to track 5 to make 1. Let's go ahead and listen to what that sounds like together. So we'll press play. And then we can hear track 5 playing those 2 sounds together. The next thing that we are going to do is use the envelope tool. The envelope tool increases amplitude or makes it louder or quieter in a certain spot. Let me unclick the solo on this one so they're all. This is the envelope tool up here. You can see that it makes blue borders with these 2 little arrows. And what I can do, I want you to choose a track where you're going to use the envelope tool to make that track louder or quieter in very specific places in the sound wave. So I'm going to click and drag here. You can see it made it smaller. I'm going to choose another spot and click and drag here, make it louder there. So you can change it any way that you want. Now let's go ahead and press play, and then I'll solo that so I can hear the changes. Oops. Okay, I just moved it to the beginning so I could hear it. Now here, as you can see this getting lower and then going back up, I can hear the volume changing. They ask that you choose a sound, one of the tracks that's fairly consistent. So I chose the maracas because it's about the same consistent sound throughout the track. Okay, I'm going to press stop, and then I'm going to unclick the solo so we can hear all of the tracks together again. Okay, if you like it, you can keep it that way. If you want to change it, you certainly can. You can also change any of the other tracks with the envelope tool that you would like based on your own taste. Now you can go ahead, like I said, you can change any of the pan or the gain or the envelope in any of the tracks to get the whole project to sound exactly the way that you want. When you are done and you are happy with it, come up to, oops, excuse me, that darn pause button. Okay, click on File, and with this one you can just do Save Project because we're not renaming it. The next step is to export this as an MP3 file. So we're going to go back up to File, Export. This says Section 3 from last time I exported something, so make sure that you're in the right place. Click on Section 4. Save as. I must have saved it as an MP3 file last time, so it's already in there. If it's not, you can click on the drop down and choose it. Okay, but mine's already at MP3 files. We're then going to go to Options. Mine is already at Variable, so if yours is not, go ahead and click on Variable. The quality will automatically change to 2 and then 170 to 210. And we're going to click on OK and Save. And therefore, we are exporting it as an MP3. Artist name, I'm going to put my last name, year 2014. This should all seem familiar to you because this is all things that we did in 3B. Okay, I'm going to click on OK, and you can see it exporting. And there we have it. We can go up and we can even check in it. Okay. So let's see. Sample mix right there as an MP3. So that is going to do it for the instructions that are within section 4 for 4B. We're going to click on assignment 4B. As you can see, it says check your work from section 4. Okay, make sure that you have done all of those things, which we just did. And now for the add-on, which is also what you are graded on and is in your rubric. So we're going to open it up with Audacity. We're going to rename it to Sample Mix Effects. Okay. Now I am not actually going to do any of this right now because we have already learned how to do all of this in assignment 2B. Actually, we learned part of this in 2B and part in 3B. So it says, select the track, add an echo effect. Okay, you're going to add reverb to it. Both of those you can find in assignment instructions 2B. And then you're going to change the pitch, tempo, or speed of at least one track. Now that you learned in assignment 3B. You are then going to encode the sample mix effects project as an MP3, which is something that we just did, and add your name and year to it. And make sure, as you can see here, it says that your project file meets the goals below. So the project has echo and reverb effects applied to it. At least one track has its tempo, pitch, or speed changed. The project has been encoded as an MP3 file named Sample Mix Effects, and the MP3 file has artist name and year metadata. Now, please keep in mind that everything that you've done in these directions, you need to zip together and submit. So all MP3s and AUPs. All right, thanks so much. I'll see you next time.